Bill Carroll, Zenny62 Media, and I'm working my way through my 2024-2025 watch list. And I'm going to hit on a couple of players that at least many of you will have heard of at least one of them. And of course, the first one is Zach Calzada, who at one point was the starting quarterback at Texas A&M. Though, however, rather briefly, combination of injuries and coaching staff changes, blah blah blah, ends up for 1 year at Auburn, but due to his shoulder injury, doesn't even, to my knowledge, I don't think he ever even suits up, or if he suits up, he doesn't play. But finds his way last year to Incarnate Word, which of course, a few years back was a program most people never heard of, and now it's become a bit of a powerhouse. But he was their leading, he was a starting quarterback, their leading uh, everything pretty much. I mean, not rusher, but he led the team. He was the team leader, as the quarterback often is. He made all conference. He made some people's even honorable mention, all FBS All American. He made the Texas, not FCS All American. He made Dave Campbell for the familiar with the Dave Campbell Texas publication. He made the non FBS offense team. He had 19 touchdowns, 20,000, not 20, sorry, 2,598 yards passing. That would be something, wouldn't it? I should have covered that first. But was number 9 in the nation at the FCS level in passing efficiency, averaged 2,088, not 2,000 anything, 288.67. So basically 288 and 2/3 yards in total offense per game, which was third in the nation. He was given credit for rushing for 57 yards and 5 touchdowns. Once again, reminding those that don't remember, that's subtracting out sack yardage. He rushed for probably well over 200, maybe close to 300, but then sacks come out. So, those who don't remember, like I said, he was a starter for 10 games during his sophomore year at Texas A&M, and all the things that you might have seen if you remember those days when he was there are still there. I'd still like to see him put on maybe 8 to 12 pounds of muscle, but he's got enough of an arm. I wouldn't say cannon, but it's a good solid arm. Good athlete. I would say above average athlete. We obviously worry a little about the history of shoulder injury. It's not like he's had a devastating series of them, but when you miss essentially an entire season, it is going to be something that's going to be on people's radar. Also, you'd like to see him work through, because of the nature of the offense he's been in, he hasn't had a chance to show that he can go through your sort of classic, you know, full 1-2-3 deep to short, or if you're working, a combination of both uh, vertically and diagonally, sort of in your system, sort of working your way, from a crosser over here, maybe to a dig coming this way and a post over the top. You see him get from 1 to 2. Rarely see him get to 3. You'd like to see him maybe work a little further through his progressions, but there's not a lot to nitpick. I'd like to see him be more deceptive, using his eyes better to take the defense away from where the ball's headed. Other than those things, there's the rest of it makes you think this guy could be a definite NFL prospect. Like I said, maybe get a little more, once again, chest, shoulder, and sort of the sort of iron shirt, as we used to call it. Those who studied kung fu, of building up those sort of muscles in those areas where you're going to get hit as a quarterback. Because nowadays you can't hit you low, so you want to make sure you sort of build up that trunk area a little bit, and shoulder area a little bit, and back, the mid and upper back. Okay, the next player is, I think, one of the best players in college football, and I'm not talking about FCS level. I think Micah Davey, if he's not in your top 10 linebackers, and he's flirting with my top 5 linebackers, regardless of level of competition, it tells me you probably haven't seen him. That's what it tells me. He's probably legitimately about 6'1" and 5/8. He's flirting with 240. He's probably in that 238, 237 range. He was a preseason first team FCS All American from FCS Central, Walter Camp, AFCA, Associated Press, second team for Associated Press, second team for Sports Performance, Phil Steele, who's a tough grader, has him on second team. I just think, once again, there's not much to criticize. To me, All Southland Conference made the Louisiana, all levels of football, Louisiana's first team. Even as a sophomore, as a redshirt sophomore, last year, he was number 7 in the Buck Buchanan voting, which is the Defensive Player of the Year at the FCS level. Name a category, right? 153 total tackles. That's 100. That's 15.3 tackles per game because he played in 10 games. 8.3 solo tackles per game. That's the one that excites me particularly. When a guy is in that 7, 7.5, 8 range, and of course in case above 8 in solo tackles, that's a player that you know is a good athlete because they're getting there and has the instincts to get there as well. And set a school record, right? Not too surprisingly as well, is the 6th most in school history in a single season. Double-digit tackles in every single game he played. Like, how many people can say that you play a 10-game season? Well, he missed one game, but still, in the rest of those games in which he played, and had 21 against Lamar, 21 tackles against Lamar. Second most, once again, in school history. He can cover. While, once again, like most college linebackers, there's some growth to be had there as a coverage player. He can cover. Not a brutal hitter, but gets it done. I mean, was Luke Kuechly a guy that was blowing guys up constantly when he was at Boston College? He certainly rocked a few guys, but he wasn't a brutal hitter. And once again, that's less important now than it was in the past. This is a redshirt junior player who I think legitimately could consider not playing his last year in college, just because I think NFL scouts are going to give him a top 100 to 140-ish grade. I can't see having him outside of your top 150 because why? He's such a good football player. Like if there was a player that I was going to say, especially at the FCS level, is going to sort of quote unquote stake my reputation on and say like this is one of my guys. I've got some others, but Micah Davey is one of my guys. He's such a good football player. But I've raved about him enough. If you haven't watched McNeese State football, one, you should. They have good players every year. Every year there's 1 or 2 legitimate NFL prospects at McNeese State. And this guy, Micah Davey, is circle the name, put a pin by it, whatever it is. If you're a person that really cares about things like the NFL draft, especially if you're a big college football fan, if you're either one of those things, watch Micah Davey, linebacker, McNeese State. I think he can play the way the game is played now, particularly any of the linebacker positions. He can play Sam, he can play Will, he can play Mike. And of course, many teams only play 2 linebackers because, of course, you're a nickel, 58 to 62.5 or more in some cases, but somewhere in there in terms of percent of the snaps. Most teams are in nickel about basically 3 out of every 5 snaps nowadays. And he's perfect for that, right? Because he can cover. He can come close to the line of scrimmage. He can rush the passer a little bit. There's nothing Micah Davey can't do that you would ask a linebacker to do in today's version of football. That's the main thing. I used to be, once again, I mentioned Luke Kuechly. I used to be sort of really lower on guys that I didn't see do a lot of like stacking and shedding, and then I began to realize, oh, like that doesn't matter as much anymore. But last few things I'll mention. So he's not a guy that has huge career sack numbers, partially just because he's used, but he does have 3, and 15 tackles for loss in his career, 7 of which he racked up last year, 8 the year prior. 2 years prior. He redshirted in 2021. But like I said, get some Micah Davey in your life, and thank me later. Once again, Bill Carroll was City 62 Media. I will have 2 more players for you tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.